Alright, so we got the 398 spoilers and another super exciting chapter here. Really enjoyed reading this one and I can't wait to go over it with you guys. Of course, we're continuing the All Might versus All for One final fight here, or at least I assume it's the final fight. Because we saw that continuing in the previous chapter. All Might using his new robotic suit that was provided to him by Melissa in America, just taking it to All for One, somehow fighting him on his level, which is crazy. I mean, it's not like he's as powerful as All for One, he's just powerful enough to fight against him in his current rewinding form. And he's also using All for One's own tactics against him, like essentially trash talking, like getting inside of his head, something All for One has always been doing to All Might. All this in an attempt to buy time so that All for One can't make it to UA to merge with Shigaraki. And at the end of that chapter, we saw a flashback of what seems to be when All Might first met Nana. So now coming into this one, it begins with a panel of young Toshinori, who is All Might, asking to become Nana's disciple. And in the present, a new item comes out of All Might's car and pierces All for One, inserting a strong acid into his body, Pinky. So yeah, of course that is in reference to Ashido. As we've seen, all of All Might's support items here are based off of his students' abilities. And this acid's so powerful that it's like melting All for One. I mean, I'm sure Ashido could if, you know, she just hit him point blank and he wasn't doing anything to stop it. But yeah, this is still pretty powerful non-quirk acid. I mean, it's acid, but it's All for One. But anyway, coming back to All Might, he says, "You said I was organic garbage, but look who's rotting now." And he's making fun of the damage that All for One took from the acid. And it cuts to the past. And Toshinori's asking Nana to accept him. She says that she can't because he's quirkless. And that he'd only be able to protect a 3-meter area. He says that his family was killed. And so was hers. But she doesn't have time to help in his revenge. But that's not what Toshinori's goal. He just can't stand this spiral of crime, hatred, and sadness. She looks astonished. And he says that he wants to become a symbol of peace. It doesn't matter if you build new houses after the destruction. The people who live in them will live in fear. And Nana asks why he decided to do this, even though he has no power. And he says that normal people are busy protecting their own 3-meter area. So he has to do it. So this is really amazing flashback. Love seeing any new additional information on All Might, and we're finding out that All Might's family died. As far as I know, we didn't know that before. We hardly really know anything about All Might's backstory. And I was kind of okay with that. Like, I don't think All Might really needed too deep of a backstory, but I think this is just enough. And it makes sense, you know, they were never really in the picture, I guess. But also Nana's family was killed. And I don't think they were killed by like All for One. I don't think it's anything like that. But the way that he's saying like he just can't stand this spiral of crime, I guess that implies that's how they were killed. And I guess you could also chalk up the wave of crime in the My Hero world to be from All for One possibly. And what he did back at the dawn of quirks, like the way that he formed the world. Or Japan at least. But first, let's talk about the sponsor of this video, Hofsco. Hofsco strives to make the best and reliable electric bikes for bike lovers, helping all cyclists live an active, healthy, and sustainable lifestyle. Their goal is to build a long-lasting brand, get more people on bikes to experience the e-bike smile, and begin an incredible adventure journey. And they're not lying about the e-bike smile, because guys, this is by far one of the best things I've ever received in my life, because this thing is truly incredible and has completely changed my life for the better. Now, I live in the inner city, and since I became a content creator full-time a couple years ago, I no longer saw the need for a car, and I got rid of it, which was like a huge burden off my shoulders. I didn't have to worry about parking, maintenance, gas, insurance. I don't think I've driven a car in like the last 3 years, and I was kind of just taking rideshare apps to get to long distances, and aside from that, I'd of course be walking everywhere in between. But I don't have to worry about that ever again now that I have the Hofsco Hov City Step step-through cruiser electric bike. Now, of course, this thing looks incredibly aesthetic. Just taking this out for a 15-minute stroll today, I had people constantly glancing at it. It's a class 2, but can be class 3 unlocked via the Hofsco app, which is super simple to use. It has a Shimano 7-speed shifter, and speaking of the motor, it has a 500-watt brushless gear hub motor and goes up to speeds of 28 miles per hour. This thing is incredibly fast, and you can just tap on the throttle and you're pretty much cruising. You don't even have to pedal. Like, check this out. It was so much fun doing this. It also has a 60-mile range battery, along with a flashlight and super powerful brakes for when you really need them. And since I got my Hofsco bike a few months ago, my girlfriend has also gotten one, and it just made her life so much easier. Driving and parking isn't the easiest in our city, especially as a college student, so now she doesn't really have to worry about that stuff. Also, now that we both have bikes, we can go on rides together, which is like a fun new way to get a workout since we didn't have these before. So guys, if you're interested in completely changing your lives for the better and just adding pure fun to your life, check out my link in the description, because Hofsco is currently running their back to school flash sale from August 22nd to August 24th, where their Hov City electric bike is going to be $500 off. That's right, guys. $500 off of its normal price. That is an incredible deal, and it only lasts until August 24th. So again, check the link in the description. Thanks, guys. But this inspired All Might to become the symbol of peace, and I really love this line here, is that normal people are busy protecting their own 3-meter area, so he has to do it. You know, going back to Nana saying that he's quirkless and that he can only protect a 3-meter area. Really good stuff here. But going further into that, he says, I have no quirk. That means I don't have any role of my own. And what comes next is one of the most emotional pages in the entire series. All Might and All for One crash into Tatooine Station in a double spread that looks exactly like the one from the first chapter. So this is pretty cool too. Apparently this is referencing that color page from the first chapter where the heroes are fighting against that giant villain. They keep flying and the cops say that they're close to UA, but All for One has taken a detour to chase All Might. All Might is lying on top of the building where Deku asked him if he could become a hero. He has broken ribs, damage all over, and his respiratory organs are malfunctioning. So that's pretty cool, paralleling, of course, back to when Izuku asked All Might if he could be a hero despite having no quirk, and All Might, was blunt with him. He's like, no, you can't. You don't have a quirk, you can't be a hero. You could be like a cop, I guess. But also them mentioning that they're close to UA. It goes back to what I was talking about in my previous review about All for One essentially has to make it to UA, I guess. I mean, I'm sure All Might will do something to stop him in some way. Like, All Might will have his victory here over All for One, but All for One has to merge with Shigaraki so that Shigaraki can become all-powerful, essentially. And I think Shigaraki will be the one that ultimately defeats, or kills, I'll say, All for One. Because if All for One doesn't merge with Shigaraki and they become like the ultimate All for One, it's kind of anticlimactic, right? And also for it saying that All Might has broken ribs, damage all over, it's because he's been getting knocked around. I mean, yeah, he's wearing this suit, but it's not making him impervious. Like, he's still getting rattled from it, and he still is already vulnerable in his nerfed body. And this is further playing into, of course, All Might, I think, is on a ticking clock, the way that All for One is, with him rewinding, as where All Might is very likely going to die here, I guess. I mean, this is pushing even more red flags than there already were. After remembering Deku running to save Bakugo in the first chapter, and Stain talking about All Might's role, Toshinori gets up, and All for One arrives at the building, and All Might notices that he's gotten a little younger. All for One had to use several quirks to remove the acid from his body, causing damage to himself. Knowing this, Toshinori assumes that the more damage All for One takes, the younger he gets. All Might then starts laughing like crazy, in a page full of flashbacks, and ha ha ha. So that totally makes sense. As we saw at the beginning of this chapter, he got fried with some acid from All Might's support item, and him having to, I guess, exhaust himself further using multiple quirks to remove the acid from his body and heal himself. It's just pushing himself further, and the rewind that's currently going on with him, that reverse engineered Yujiko Aries serum or whatever, it just makes him younger. because he's eventually going to get to the point of where he's just nothingness. I wouldn't be surprised if we even see like baby All For One. And actually, now that I think about it, maybe we'll eventually see All For One go back to like the age that Tenko was, like 5, I think he was, when All For One found him. Or should I say Shigaraki? So there could be like a reverse parallel, of course, with All Might and Izuku, as to where now it's Shigaraki who is overtaking the young All For One, as opposed to vice versa. All Might tells Hercules to send all the remaining items at once and keeps laughing. I'm so happy I could play a role and help everyone. As he says this, one of All Might's eyes become normal without the shadows. I'll do my best. We'll do our best and win. Wow, I can't believe that actually is happening. I've been waiting for this moment for so long. I thought that there was going to be this moment in the series where All Might's eyes were finally going to return to normal. Like if you watch the opening scene of the Two Heroes movie, like the first My Hero movie, we actually been talking about this the last couple reviews. All Might has like normal eyes, but after he got nerfed by All For One, he has like the black sclera that we've come to know of him. So now that he is reaching his zenith, I suppose, he's going to have one last moment of full glory where he no longer has his shadowed out eyes, which was a result of All For One and the damage that he did to him in the battle 7 years ago. The new items include 2 gauntlets, Doc Ock's metal tentacles, and a robotic crow. He prepares to attack with everything he has and activates Ingenium and Irravity to boost his mobility. And we see some waves, and the All Might vestige feels the presence of the real one. And of course, Doc Ock's tentacles here is because Horikoshi's a big Marvel fan, even bigger Spider-Man fan. So that's understandable. And then Ingenium and Irravity, Ida and Uraraka's influence on All Might. But as for the All Might vestige, he's feeling the presence of All Might, like the original. And the All Might vestige has always been like an interesting thing. I guess it's always kind of implied that All Might had one foot in the grave because, you know, the vestiges of the previous All For One users are all dead except for All Might. And for that, we've kind of just seen like this ethereal apparition or an energy ghost or whatever you want to call it. Also, I think the last time we saw it was when Bakugo was on his deathbed. So I wonder if that's going to come back into play. So like maybe All Might does something like as he's dying and then like controls the vestige and then, I don't know, brings Bakugo back to life. I don't know. I mean, Bakugo's still coming back because Ed's shot became his heart. I don't know if you guys remembered that. I'm sure you didn't forget. It's just been a while. But maybe All Might can play into saving Bakugo as well. The second to last page shows Deku and Shigaraki, with Deku thinking All Might. And the last page shows All Might and All For One, with All Might thinking young Midoriya. End of chapter, no break next week. So yeah, we're coming back to seeing Deku and Shigaraki. I don't know what's going on with them. Maybe they're still holding hands or something, but just showing us like, hey, this is still going on. And I think that All Might and All For One, like I said, are eventually going to meet up with them at some point, or at least All For One. And regardless of what happens in this fight and the ultimate outcome, I don't know if we're immediately going to shift over to that fight because there still is quite a few things that need to be addressed first, but I'll go more into that in my review for the full chapter once we get it. So let me know what you think about this chapter in the comments, guys. And if you liked the video, please give it a like and please subscribe if you haven't already. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.